Hello friends, I'm Iman. Welcome to the complete Blender software tutorial from beginner to advanced. In this session we're going to dive into the fascinating world of modeling. What is Unwrap? What is a UV map? If you enjoyed my tutorials, please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the upcoming lessons. Alright, let's get into the UV editing section and the UV map part so I can start teaching you this section in detail. This part is called UV editing. Guys, in this series I don't want to teach you from the UV editing section. Instead I want us to work from the shading section, which we've covered in previous sessions, okay? In this part I actually select UV editing or UV edit like this. I'll move this a bit over here so it's fully visible. Okay, I brought in my object, created a cube, and now I'll go to edit mode. When I enter edit mode, it shows me a preview here. I'm going to turn off the camera and the light since I don't need them, okay? So it can be seen. Within the UV editing workspace section, whenever we go ahead and create a specific material, such as a simple square or any other individual part, it automatically displays that selection right here in this comprehensive unfolded layout view. That means it's a completely unfolded box that it shows me in full, and I can see it laid out like this. Okay, now if I take a look at this and go ahead and add a brand new material specifically right here within this shading section. Do you remember in the shading section when we connected these lights together it would show a preview here, but here before I present it in the UV editing section it shows it to me? Well, if I deselect it here it doesn't show me a preview here. When I press A here, if I press A, it shows me the preview. Now I'll bring in a lighter one so you can see that part completely. Okay? You see it's visible. Well, sometimes you might say I want to bring in two materials. I'll add another material and here it shows me the preview. Well, the preview of the previous material is gone. How can I show the materials? First, with the mouse scroll, this part moves for me. It does. Instead of dragging this back and forth, I just click here with the mouse scroll and it shows me the preview. Then I come to this part. Let me activate this here so you can see it. Okay, so here, okay. With the mouse scroll wheel, now that I've successfully made this much smaller, I'll come right here and carefully move the mouse scroll wheel again. You see it's working. In this section, you can get a preview of the materials you've imported. Pay attention guys, even though I deleted the previous material, it still shows me the preview here. Now let's move on to this one. Now when I manually connect this specific object to it, the real-time preview it's showing me here is consistently and always of a basic cube shape, right? Okay, so I go to the vertex section and change the mode of this vertex. Look, do you see? I change my form, or even if I go to the edge and change the mode of my edges. Do you see? It changes. First I press the A key to select the object, then I use the S key to scale it up, the R key to rotate it, and the G key to move its position. After that, I can easily change its mode right here and then place it exactly where I want it to be. Okay guys, sometimes you might say that the preview you see here is of a certain format or a cube. This part here is for this. In this part, I don't want you to know that I come to face, select this, deselect that, come here, click on face, set it to 3 and select the face. Is it selected? Okay, it's selected here. Whenever I select a part, what is this useful for? So that your workspace doesn't get cluttered, you can limit your selections like this and select that part separately. Okay, now if at any point you want the whole thing to be visible by selecting it, UV sync selection shows the whole thing you see. It's not selected either, but when I check UV selection it shows it. If I uncheck this, it only shows me when the object is also selected. Or actually, when I press A and it's selected. If it's not selected, you'll see it when you check this UV selection box here, okay? So that it becomes visible. As I told you, with the faces placed, you can select them here. When you press V, it separates it for you, and with G, you can move it. Do you see? I press V, it separates it for me, and with G, I tell it to bring this texture. For example, I select this area here. Okay, I pressed V, selected it, and when I come here, it selects it for me. When you do this, keep in mind that it also works for vertices or edges. When you press V, I press V and then G, and it separates it for me. Okay? This is for separating the textures you want to work with. This way, it can select it for you. From the Data Object Properties section, I go to Vertex and close it, close Shape, and open UV Map. I select one. Now it's UV Map 1. The empty UV map is UV Map 0. What happens here? Look, come here and use the mouse scroll to move and select the UV map. Okay? The UV map that's active right now is based on this data. When I go to this one, it doesn't work. Do you see why? Because this one isn't active. For this to become active, you definitely need to actually turn on the active working section. When you activate this with your camera, the other one disappears and it gets applied to this one. So just like in the scene or shading sections, you can adjust each part of it. Work on it separately, and create it. All right, let's move on to the next section. Here I select this. Again, I choose the UV editor in the edit mode section. Okay. Hey guys, look here. There is a section right here called UV Warp or UV Wrap, which shows up once your entire work is fully selected. What happens here? It actually selects your entire file and selects it. Okay? Meaning if I simply click this, it will automatically select it for me in a fully unfolded and clear way. The specific shortcut key for this is U, which lets you select it as a separate piece. Now I'll unwarp it. It also selects it for me in the expanded form. Or I can press U and it brings it up for me. Well, in the next section, UV, Smart UV Project, and these two basically use the same algorithm. Now, for example, I select this one. What does this do? It asks if you want it to unwrap for you. I say yes. That means you come to this section, select a separate option so that I can grab this face. You see here and there in this area, it separates it for me. Let me press A. You see, it has completely created each part separately for me, meaning the paths of my cubes have been generated from separate textures. In this section, its subsequent algorithms are a bit different, but working with it is the same. Now I'll press Ctrl Z to go back to the previous state. I'll also press A to select. Okay, in the cube, cylinder or sphere section, when I select cube and then choose cube project, I press A so that it's selected. You see? It currently only displays a single cube, and actually it is only modifying one specific object. Right here, you can separate an object into parts. Let me select it here so you can understand better. I go to the UV section and select cube. You see? It applied my material object to all the parts. I think now you fully understand, because before it wasn't connected, so it might have been a bit confusing. The UV part of this is like, oh, let me try this one too so you can see. If you take a look at this, in the earlier section of the demonstration, when I clicked on the screen, it would only highlight a single small frame. However, this specific one automatically selects the entire full frame area, and you can clearly see it happening right here. Did you see the difference? Right here, I can easily connect this component to the part. This one is for this part. Okay? Alright, mark seam. Guys, what exactly is mark seam? It actually means the seam of clothing. When creating a character and in character tutorials, you'll fully understand what benefits this has and how it helps you. But for now, just whenever I begin to analyze the model, I navigate over to the edge section and say, please go ahead and select this specific seam, along with this other seam, and this final seam for me right here. I go into UV, and when I click Mark Seam, it marks the seam for me and separates it, and from here I can see it's completely separated. You see, when I look closely at this specific part, I click on it to mark it as a seam. Now, if I want to see it fully analyzed and truly understand it, I do something else. I navigate over to the UV editor window. I completely delete this project. So it's not there at all. I go into object mode and delete this project, Shift+A. I create a circle, then I go to UV edit. Well, here you can see it completely. It says, guys, everything is selected, right? Now here you fully understand what mark seam means. Everything is selected, okay? Now I come here in edge mode and hold down Alt. Well, let me tell you an important point here, guys. It's good that we got to this point here. If you remember, in the earlier sessions, I talked about this part and using Alt instead of another key. Now, I want to select all around this, but no matter how much I hold Alt and click, it doesn't work. That's because I had checked this option. In fact, I had enabled it, as I mentioned, instead of ESC. I can walk with Alt for crown. Now I'm going to uncheck it. If I double tap Alt, if I hold Alt and double click, it will select everything, okay? Good thing we got to this part. All right, I'll explain it again so you fully understand. Okay, I'll go ahead and press the Ctrl-Z shortcut. Here, I'll check it again. So I want to select this part completely. I'm on my edge. When I hold Alt, nothing happens because in my edit preferences under input, these options are enabled. If I disable them when I hold Alt, you can see the whole outline gets selected. Now let's move on to UV. I'll select Mark Seam. See? It's completely separated. Now to separate this, I navigate over to the UV editor, press the A key to select all for the unwrap, or simply hit the U key and it unwraps the mesh for us. Did you see how that worked? Mark Seam is for example, separating two parts like a shirt. Now it shows me this half circle on this side and the half circle on that side, and you can see it completely. Clear or clearly? Well, I always get this wrong. Clear seam makes it disappear. And this one is for resetting it. Okay, I reset it. Well, I hope this session's tutorial was useful for you. Very brief, short, and quick. Let me fully explain the UV editor section, UV editing, and the UV map to you. If you're new to my channel, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share this tutorial with one of your friends. Your likes give me the motivation to upload my tutorials for you more quickly. Until the next session, goodbye.